anything that's small enough or moves fast enough that it could hit the eye, get into the eye socket, it's a threat.
What would be the serious eye damage?
Who would play racquetball without goggles on? Who would play squash without goggles on? It just makes sense to include pickleball in that group of sports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, age has affected my eyes, Dave. I'm not seeing like I did when I was 24 years old.
Nothing else, though. That's the cool thing about it.
Yeah, right.
Pickleball Fountain of Youth with Hall of Famer Steve Paranto.
Hey, this is Steve Paranto with the Pickleball Fountain of Youth. I have a very special guest with me today. Actually, my old college roommate and doubles partner in tennis. So we're talking 1978-9.
Yeah.
So quite a few years ago. But the reason I think this is a very special podcast, very appropriate for pickleball players, this is going to be all about sports vision, things we need to know, things we could improve. What knowledge do you have that's going to help pickleball players?
All right, so I'm Dave Rumpf from the Seattle area, and I'm a retired optometrist, actually an avid tennis player, but I've known you since the 70s, and so I've been aware of pickleball. I used to have an annual game at your 4th of July picnics at your parents'. Mm-hmm. So I've been in the vision field for 35 years or so while I was working. And I think there's some things that we can talk about today that are important from a safety standpoint and somewhat from a performance standpoint that we can talk about vision today.
Yeah. I think we should start right off with safety. Because right now that's a big talk in the pickleball world with the balls going faster than they used to. I actually think we should have used, I wore eye protection even before this latest condition of how we're playing pickleball. But today, I would say most people agree with me that we need to be wearing eye protection. Tell us about eye protection.
Yeah, well, when you think about eye protection in sports, who would play racquetball without goggles on? Who would play squash without goggles on? It just makes sense to include pickleball in that group of sports. Mm-hmm. Anything that's small enough or moves fast enough that it could hit the eye, get into the eye socket, it's a threat. And fortunately, eye injuries aren't the most common injury in pickleball, for sure, but they could be the most serious injury. And, minor would be an abrasion, a scratch, put you out for a week or so while you heal. But you could do serious eye damage with the impact of a pickleball.
What would be the serious eye damage?
Well, starting with the front of the eye, you could hit it so hard that it could damage the iris, which could cause bleeding. A torn iris could lead to glaucoma. The next thing back, it could hit hard enough to cause a cataract. If the pressure went deeper, it could damage the retina. And that could be a bruise, which would be temporary blurring, maybe for several weeks, up to a tear, a detachment, and vision loss. So it's serious. It's absolutely serious. Fortunately, not that often, but even more fortunate, it's easy to prevent.
Yeah.
There's a ton of options in terms of eyewear, safety eyewear for sports, pickleball as well. It just doesn't make sense not to protect yourself.
Right. Now, I am wearing, it is polycarbonate.
Yeah.
And I'm just about to turn 69. About 3 years ago, my distance vision started to change. So I have prescription glasses now that I play pickleball in, but I did get polycarbonate. But you were telling me last night that, these officially aren't considered
when you mention polycarbonate to the people listening, that's a type of material that lenses can be made out of, and that's what safety eyewear is made out of. And polycarbonate happens to have some great characteristics. Lightweight, but it's very strong, and so it can withstand impact. The reason, it's actually a little bit flexible.
Yeah.
If you think of glass could shatter, so that's going to break up easily. But poly can absorb.
Could glass go into your eye when
that'd be a pretty dramatic injury. But yeah, glass could shatter. And especially in prescription eyewear, it gets cut pretty thin to help keep the weight down. But polycarbonate, again, is what safety eyewear is made out of. It has another great feature. It filters ultraviolet light for the outdoor pickleball players. Here we're indoors today, but anybody who's outdoors, you want to also protect yourself from the UV rays. The polycarbonate blocks that. Now, if you get into the weeds, polycarbonate for prescription glasses, as the powers increase, the optics aren't as good as some of the other materials that you can make eyewear out of. There's another material called Trivex, which is also strong, a little better optics. For today, it's probably not a topic that we have to go too far on, other than simply you want protection.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you mentioned your frames.
Yeah.
A sports frame has padding at the contact points. It has more padding in the nose, has grip or padding in the ears, a little stronger hinges. So you're not likely to get hurt in your eye, but you might get bashed and cut your nose and do some other injuries. So you want to go all out, you get sports rated sports lenses, and that's as safe as you can get for sure.
I have a lot of students who have progressive glasses playing pickleball.
Yeah.
And they seem to have more difficulty seeing the ball. Yeah. What should we have?
Well,
if we're getting a prescription eyewear, mine are set for distance, so like everything from my hand.
Right.
Did I do the right thing?
Well, right. If you're
just
buying glasses for pickleball,
right.
The progressive lens, the multifocal lens, you don't use any of that part while you're playing pickleball. You certainly don't tip your head back to see the close, and then
Yeah.
So you're actually trying to ignore or tolerate the weirdness at the bottom.
So that you wouldn't suggest people wearing that.
Just if you're getting a pair for pickleball, which is nice to have, pickleball lens, you may want a little bit bigger lens than your dress glasses.
Yeah.
You might benefit from a curved lens more so than your dress glasses, and you just get the single power set for distance. For one thing, it costs less. Just putting a progressive, you're spending money that's not benefiting you in any way for pickleball. I think when you think of lens features that you want on a lens for pickleball, you want the impact lens. You also want an anti-reflection coating. It's a coating that you can put on the lens that effectively makes them more clear, so you get less side reflections, less front reflections. So we call that an AR coating, anti-reflection coating. You would want that for sure. Now, some people, if they play a lot of indoor and outdoor and they just want to have one pair of glasses, they could get a lens that changes tint, the transitions lens.
Yeah, that's what these are.
So that would be a nice all-around pair for both indoor and outdoor. And then another feature of sunglasses that a lot of people have or might be curious about is polarization. And polarized lenses are wonderful for reflections, especially off water and reflected glare. But you don't really have reflected glare on a pickleball court.
No.
So you don't need that. And some people actually are bothered. They don't feel like their depth perception is as good through polarized lenses.
So you would suggest not using
I'd leave that out of a pair of pickleball glasses. If you're a boater, if you're up in the mountains, the Northwest is a great place to have polarized sunglasses, but not necessarily
on the pickleball
court. Yeah. And people might talk to their friends about tints.
Yeah.
Indoors, you don't really need, you don't want a tint. You don't want to dim the lights. You want all the light you can get. But outdoors, you want a sunglass with a tint. And most of the pickleballs are kind of that optic yellow, amber, kind of yellow, amber, brown, orange, ruby, those kind of shades will highlight the contrast of the pickleball relative to the court surface.
Oh, okay.
So those would be the preferred tint colors. My advice on that is look through them, make sure you like it. Some of them look kind of weird or feel weird to see the world in those colors. and maybe you'd see the ball better, but you might not like how, the look. So you got to try that out.
How about the people that go to the sporting goods store and buy shooting glasses? What does that do?
Well, shooting glasses are typically kind of a bright yellow.
Yeah.
I've seen people wearing them, and they say they like them. The yellow enhances contrast. So it wouldn't be a bad color if you don't mind looking through it. Sometimes it just seems a little harsh and yellow, but it wouldn't be a bad color.
So here's the other big thing. This is more related to the actual, I'm giving lessons to students, and they don't hit the sweet spot. And they go, I can't see it hit my paddle. How come I'm not hitting the center? Now, I always tell my students, a lot of the reasons you're not hitting the center of your paddle is right before impact, you want to look where you're going to hit it. So they're not really tracking it into their paddle. That seems to help them a lot.
Yeah.
Now, I know that I've called you up and even asked you this question because I feel you should pretend like you could see it hit your paddle. I know it happens really fast.
Yeah.
Our human eyes probably aren't seeing that, are we?
Yeah. Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not freeze framing it.
No.
Yeah. This is a good question, and I think you've called me up actually from a bar. At 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And I remember you asking me, where should we look? Mm-hmm. When we're playing pickleball, we're all debating where we should look.
Especially during a hands battle.
Yeah.
Well, there's two different situations. The ball's coming medium speed. You're not in a firefight. I'm teaching my students to pretend they can see it at their paddle. After it's gone, then you can look forward. There's a difference there between where do I look in a firefight.
Yeah.
Could you talk about the differences between those two?
Yeah. Well, it comes down to different kinds of eye movements. When we move our eyes, there's two very different kind of eye movements that you can make. And one is called a pursuit, a smooth pursuit, which means your eyes actually are exactly following what it is that you're looking at. Mm-hmm. And you can do that different ways. You could move your head like I just did. You could keep your head still and move your eyes. But we can only lock on and stay locked on up to kind of a certain speed. And when it's moving faster than that, we can't keep up. And then we go to these jumping eye movements where we sort of predict and jump ahead and catch up to where the ball is. Those are called saccade or saccadic eye movements. So when you're telling your student to try to see the ball hit the paddle, they're not smoothly following the ball to the paddle and then back out again. They're jumping to that point and then back out again. If you look at pictures of professionals,
like tennis players,
pickleball players, and some of them, they really do look like they are looking at that ball hitting the paddle, and others, you can see they quit tracking it somewhat before. But all of us, hitting the ball in the middle of the paddle, it requires these predictive eye movements, or predictions our brain makes of where the ball is going to go, and then that's where we hit. I don't disagree with you, but I also don't agree that everybody's going to sort of see them hit the ball. But your advice is good. Basically, you're saying follow the ball.
Yeah.
Do your best to follow the ball, and then not look away before you
where
hit
they're going to hit.
Where they're going to hit.
And that's where the peripheral vision comes in a little bit. I always tell my students now, you don't need to look where you're going to hit. The court never moves.
Yeah.
Okay. The court's not moving. The ball's moving. Let's focus on the ball, but that peripheral is looking at the court. Correct?
Yeah.
And that's a. Can we teach that?
Yes, but also it's not like you're doing it every time. You're kind of learning where the court is as you play. I mean, it's not like every single hit you have to remember where the court is, right?
Mm-hmm. Because it's different in your space compared to where you're at every time. Yeah. Well, that's what we know. We always talk about court awareness.
Yes.
And that's got to be really right. That's really what we're talking about.
Yeah. And clearly some people are better at it than others.
Yeah.
Eye movements are skills. It's a skill. And so, some people are definitely better at it than others, just like anything.
I don't know if you've watched any of our latest young top players that are out there. We have Hayden Patrickin, Dylan Frazier, J. Dub Johnson, of course Ben and the Johns brothers, where it just seems like, how in the heck do their hands do what they're doing? But really, that's all related to eyes and prediction.
Yeah, practice and genetics.
And genetics is a part of it, right?
They're just super quick.
And
And
mechanics.
again, repetition and practice. And ready position, and all those things I wish I was better at.
During the quick hand battles, which is the game is really going to this. I'm generally looking forward. Even when the ball goes, especially I think when the ball goes to my partner, I don't want to be doing this, correct?
Right, minimally for sure. So that you're ready. What I would say to people is, try to watch the ball. But we know you actually can't make your eyes move that fast.
But isn't it harder to see when my head's moving?
Well, it depends on what you're describing, because sometimes your head movement helps you. That it helps you follow something.
Let's say you're my partner and you're going bang 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 bang. I shouldn't be doing this. That's the example that I'm thinking of.
Right. You brought up the topic of eye health. Just longevity. You want to keep your eyes healthy like the rest of your body. And actually, the way you keep your eyes healthy is you keep your body healthy. You eat well. I talk about eating the colorful, crunchy vegetables. Broccoli, carrots, sweet potatoes, and berries. They all have
the antioxidants,
nutrients to keep the eyes healthy. There's another condition that hopefully you won't get it. I think about 15% of the population eventually does as you age. It's macular degeneration. But even if you don't get it, people who got it. And that damages your middle, sharp, detailed vision. And your best things for that are block the UV rays, wear your sunglasses outside, eat your fruits and vegetables, to get your antioxidants. And then you go to the pharmacy or Costco or the drugstore. There's hundreds of bottles of vitamins
that are made for eyes.
That are made for everything.
Oh, okay.
Right? There's a vitamin probably for your toe if you. I mean, it's crazy. It's people who have these conditions. If you have macular degeneration, it's important to include a supplement, and it's pretty easy. You look at the bottles and they'll say something about ocular or visual or eyes, and they have.
When we grew up, our parents always said, "Eat your carrots."
Yeah, eat your carrots. There's vitamin A in there, and the chemical in the eye that actually reacts to light is called rhodopsin, and vitamin A is a precursor to manufacturing rhodopsin. But eating your carrots isn't going to get rid of your prescription eyeglasses.
No.
But and if you don't have a vitamin A deficiency, eating your carrots, they're tasty. It's as you know me, it's another thing to put peanut butter on.
He put peanut butter on everything he ate in our apartment. I never knew people put peanut butter on carrots before until that time. But you put peanut butter on. But
now I've switched to apples.
Well, you did apples then too. I remember, but that's actually really good.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I don't know if this contributed to our eye health, but there's just very healthy ingredients in this, but there is some alcohol. But hops but that was such a fun weekend. It's a week. We don't work anymore, so every day's a weekend.
Right.
So that's the great thing about being retired. But
right.
I hope we still get some more play in today. But I know we have another podcast we're going to be shooting. But man, Dave, this has been a super fun weekend, and. So
thank
having you here. You're
but
welcome.
This leads to socialization, which is crucial for longevity.
Right. So probably this is going to make us live longer.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.